Oh, I tell you, I was not planning on doing a video today, but with the news that happened among Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm like, hmm, I gotta do this. I gotta talk to you guys about, should we shave our beards now? Is this a problem? Is it a spiritual? Can you be a spiritual person with a beard? Is this a big deal? I think it is a huge deal and much bigger than most people realize. So stay with me and we'll talk about it. What's really behind the changes that they have made. So, what do you think? The new light is getting brighter and brighter? Oh boy. I was shocked, I'll be honest, when I found out that they were moving the hours from the publishers. I thought that would never change. And boom, look at that. That was a huge shift that I did not suspect. But I realized that every single decision these people make, it's not for the good of an average publisher. They would never do that for the purpose of convenience of people in the organization. They always do it for themselves. And there is always a reason behind it. And the reason for me, and I'm just speculating, nothing else, it's just my hallucination. The reason why I believe they removed the hours is because they want more people to be qualified as publishers for a few reasons. One, because they're losing members. Second, they're charging every single congregation per publisher. So although when you go to the Kingdom Hall, you're dropping the money into the mailbox, into the box, whatever you want. You could be a witness all your life, not drop one penny. It's up to you. But every congregation, based on how many people are publishers, active publishers, they are being charged. And every time you go to the assembly, there's a charge per head, per publisher. And this is why they want to make sure that the amount of publishers stays high, because that's number one reason. That's what I believe. But now this huge change with beards. I mean, this was back and forth with so many people, and so many times they were asking, why do we have to shave our beards when brothers in other countries, they don't do it? And there are certain states in the United States where you could have a beard up to the privilege of ministerial servant, but you could not be an elder. I mean, who comes up with those ideas and the rules of what's good, what's bad, and who should shave their beard or not? After all, if the beard was created, then it was created in design by the guy they believe in. So why would they say it's no good anymore? And the reasoning, if you watch the reasoning that the Let came up with, I mean, it should have been done a long time ago. And I know all of you have your own ideas of why these changes are making place, but I want you to see something that they don't show to an average witness. And it's a chart that it's really scary for the governing body. Take a look at this. Take a look at this chart. This chart is a percentage of increase of Jehovah's Witnesses. I collected this data from Yearbook since 1991 to the year 2022. And on this chart, as you can see, in the 90s, they were at prime, almost 6% increase year after year, 6%, 5%, 5.2, 5.3, 5.55, 4.4. And then sometimes around the year 2000, it stabilizes a little bit and then a decline again. Now, why is this so significant? Well, I look at the numbers around COVID. Not only got into a negative territory, but after COVID, the numbers didn't boost up. So what they've done is they basically changed who qualifies to be a publisher, so the numbers can grow. And they can take a look at the people and like, you know what, we're not only losing publishers, but we're losing leadership. We're losing, well, not leadership, managers. Sorry, there's not much leadership over there, but we're losing managers. We're losing people who can run the or congregations. So there's not too many people who qualify. So now they removed the hours. So they're no longer looking at who did how many hours in order to be a ministerial servant or an elder, which, believe me, before, it was number one question. It was number one question. How many hours are you doing in the ministry? Because they needed to know whether you are taking a lead in the ministry or not. And if you're doing below average, if it's just 1 hour below average or half an hour below average, you don't qualify. But if you are 1 or 2 hours above average, then you're being considered. So I remember when I thought I was doing everything good, and I went to another elder. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Like, how can I become an elder? Because truthfully, I don't really know what else to do. I'm thinking I'm doing everything correct. And this is what he told me. Listen to this. If you want to be an elder, this is what you have to do. Show up at the meetings early. And the moment you walk into the Kingdom Hall, go and talk to an elder. Doesn't matter which one, preferably to the presiding overseer or a secretary or a service overseer. Those three are usually leading the pack. So if you go and talk to them, they will notice you came early. When you're sitting at the Kingdom Hall, sit on front of an elder. So when you raise your hand and they don't pick you, at least he was sitting behind you and he saw that you were trying to answer, because you could not be picked, right? So you're trying to answer, and the whole meeting, nobody picked you, and the elders think this guy is not answering at the meetings. But you were prepared, and then if the guy's sitting behind you, he will see it. And the third one, he says, try to go to service with the elders, because then even if they say no, but at least you asked. Basically, what he was saying is kiss their ass. that's what it was. You could just create a show, so they in their head, when they all gathered together trying to figure it out, who should be next. They know exactly who to pick. And now they're running out of people. Now they're running out of people that will serve as ministerial servants, and they will serve as elders. So they're watering down basically the qualifications. The hours don't matter as much anymore. As long as you're going to service, it's fine. And now you can grow a beard. And it was a big deal, because I tell you why. It was literally a sign of spiritual weakness. That's what it was. If an NEJW started fading or started questioning and they grew their beard, there was a sign for the rest of the Jehovah's Witness that that person is getting weak spiritually. There was a video not too long ago, maybe, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, at the assembly, when a person was learning to be a witness and was studying with witnesses and changing his ways of life and so on. But at one point, he's like, oh, yeah, I want to start going to service. And the first thing that they show him to do is he shaved his beard. Back then, I was still a witness, although I was a PMO. And then I was invited to a gathering of witnesses, and we're sitting by the barbecue, sitting by the fire, and we're talking with all the guys. And then one of the guys is saying this. He says, did you see the video? I loved it because it showed this guy shaving his beard. They could have very easily show this guy taking off the cross from the wall, or any statues, or going to the priest and telling the priest that he's no longer going to go to the church, whatever. No, they didn't show this. They showed that the guy shaved his face. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that was the most important thing. But for people who were outside of this congregation, they don't know how big of a deal that is. But for witnesses, it was a big deal. It was like a sign of, are you spiritual or not? Why? Because if you listen to Let, what he was saying, it is more important to be obedient, to be united, than to be truthful. He didn't say it that way, but that's what he meant. Because what he basically said, okay, we admit that you can have a beard. Jesus had a beard, and all the guys in the Bible basically had a beard. There was nothing wrong with having a beard. There's nothing in the Bible that would say you cannot have a beard. So therefore, it's okay now. However, all the guys that were saying those things before, They were running ahead of the chariot, as he mentioned. And you can't do that. Therefore, the truth does not matter. What the Bible says does not matter. What matters is, are you obedient? That is their top value. Are you united with the organization? It doesn't matter whether you're true or not. It doesn't matter if your understanding is better, your answer is better, more accurate, more truthful, more factual than what they have. It doesn't matter. What matters is, are you obedient? I had this discussion so many times, even as a witness. I remember there was one guy who um, who felt bad. He really felt bad because he started clapping when they announced a person who was reinstated in the congregation. And he was an elder. He's like, I feel horrible, because back then you were not allowed. He said, I feel horrible, but I just knew what it took for this guy to return. And I was so happy that the person returned to Jehovah that they started clapping. And then the whole congregation started clapping because they followed me. And I just felt bad. And I was like, are you serious? And then I just told him a whole many scriptures in the Bible that say, listen, it's a good thing to show joy when somebody's returning, right? Like there's more joy of one sheep that returns than of the 99 they never left. After all, there's tons of scripture that show that there is a joy, that there should not be any restrictions when it comes to showing joy towards somebody else. After all, joy is one of the Holy Spirit's signs, right? So it was incredible that they all turned against me. Everybody who was listening to this conversation, and they're like, you're not united, you can't think like this is wrong, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, think about it. Think about the prodigal son who returned, right? And then the father just threw a party for him, and this guy was living a life of debauchery, and all those examples didn't not matter. Like whatever I said from the Bible, from logical, from experience, none of that matter. What mattered was, are you obedient? And then literally, I think 3 or 4 weeks later, they changed it and they said, now we're clapping when somebody's returning. So I went back and I'm like, so what do you think now? And they told me, Jack, you can't run on the front of the chariot. You can get run over. That's what they said. I'm like, okay, this is super weird. The best place is right in the middle. Don't fall behind. Don't run in front of it. Stay in the middle. But I'll be honest with you guys, because I know a lot of people will mock them for this change because of what that did to so many men who were trying to grow a beard and who were criticized for it, who were ostracized for it, who were judged very harshly for it. And a lot of witnesses who were in so-called good standing, I've seen so many. They go on vacations, and they're elders and they're pioneers or whatever. They go on vacation for like a couple of weeks and they grow a beard. A lot of guys do this because nobody knows that they're witnesses, so they would do this. And they come back and they got to shave again. So it shows that they really wanted to have a beard, but because of the policy, they didn't do it. It's a joke. It's nothing else. It's a joke. I don't know what to say it any other way, but it's crazy to what extent they control people. But it's not unique to Jehovah's Witnesses. Every religion out there has rules that are weird to us when we look at it. Look what Islam did to women. I think a lot of countries, they still wear burqas. They can't even show their face. And they think that's what God requires. You look at Mormons, right? They got to have their sacred garments and t-shirts up to here. Women cannot show their shoulders. They can't drink coffee or tea, right? And they have a whole bunch of other rules that, when we're looking at it, like, that's weird. Like they cannot drink beer or any alcohol, as a matter of fact. We were not prohibited from this. You look at Catholics, for example, right? There's a time of fasting. They cannot eat meat, or they cannot use contraception. Or you look at clergy and the way they have to dress. The clergy has a very specific dress code and they have to follow it. For us, it wasn't like that. So it's easy to maybe make fun of the governing body on the weird rules that they're saying, but truthfully, every religion has rules that we're looking at them and we're like, what the heck is going on over here? Why do these people follow this or believe this? Because it's their rules. See, when it comes to freedom of religion, It's very similar to freedom of starting a corporation. You start a corporation, you start your business, and you set up your own rules. Let's say you want to open McDonald's, and you tell people, you want to work for me, this is what I'm going to require. This is the t-shirt and uniforms that you're going to wear, and you're going to come here and you are going to follow the policy that I created, and you're going to start your workday at this time, and you're going to work until here, and I'm going to give you X amount of time for your lunch or your coffee break, and then you're going to leave here at this time, and I'm going to pay you X amount of money. All this is part of the arrangement. And when we were Jehovah's Witnesses, we were working for the Watchtower as volunteers. That's all what we were. We were employees of that company, but as volunteers. And we forget that. We're thinking, how could they manage our life like this? And how could they prohibit us from having a beard or whatever? No, you volunteered. And so did I. We believed their mission. Every company out there has a mission. And you can align yourself with it, or you can get fired, or you can simply quit. And it was no different with Watchtower. It was a corporation that we volunteered our time. We were volunteers, and we went there and said, okay, in order for us to be part of this organization, what is your policy? The policy said, okay, maybe not written, but women have to wear dresses. They cannot wear pants in the Kingdom Hall. It's not written anywhere, but more or less that's what we follow. Guys should be shaved, unless we're not going to give you privileges. That was basically, you can get this fellowship for having a beard, but you wouldn't get privileges. So they had a specific standard. They had specific rules. Some were written, some were not written, some were determined by a culture, some were determined basically by where you live, or even by the elders in the congregation. Sometimes the elders change and things change in the congregation. So we had a choice. Some people think, oh, we didn't have a choice. Yes, we did have a choice. And the choice was, you stay working for the Watchtower as a volunteer and you follow their rules, or you walk away. And you might say, it was not a fair choice, because if I walk away, I'm going to lose all my friends, family, and so on and on. I'm not saying it's a fair choice, and I'm not saying life will be fair. You're going to have to make a lot of this kind of choices in life, where people have to walk away from jobs where it was the only way for them to support themselves, and walking away from a job might be just as traumatic as leaving a religion, or sometimes even worse. There are plenty of people who committed suicide because they lost a job or they got fired from it. So it has to be taken seriously. But think about it. At the end of the day, it was still our choice. They micromanage people right, left, and center. No question about it. But it was us who gave them that power. And now that we're outside, we get to say, I will not give them that power anymore. They don't have that power over me. I will do whatever I want, because you know what? The consequences are still there. And if you felt like, oh, I can't live without the family and friends, you can always go back. And if you're not going back, if you're not planning to join this religion again, then guess what? You have a choice, and you had that choice before. I don't care how old were you when you got baptized, even if you got baptized at the 10 years of age. The moment you are outside of your family home, the moment you live on your own as an adult, and you continued going to the meetings, continue giving them money, continue preaching door to door, it was your decision. I know leaving was not easy. It wasn't easy for me, but we've made the choice. I think what's happening right now with the organization, I think they're getting desperate. They're getting desperate for looking for people who will serve, desperate for people who will lead, desperate for people who will do the assignments. I think one of the reasons why they organized the congregations in such a way, because not only they need more money and they were able to sell some of the kingdom halls, but leadership was a problem. Even 10 years ago when I was there, they were really looking for ministerial servants, and now they're saying, hey, if 20 years old, you want to be an elder, no problem. 20-year-old elder, holy schmoly. But I've seen that. I've seen the youngest guy that I saw that was an elder, I think was 23 years old. And I'm like, you know what? That man, when I saw him, he was just like a company man, really, really obedient. He would do whatever. If the organization told him jump off the cliff, he would just ask which one. And these people are chosen to be the leaders. So that's my thoughts. I don't know what are your thoughts. Please put your thoughts in the comments. I'm very curious about what your thoughts are, why they're changing the policy of shaving beards, because believe me, it is not for the well-being of the rank and file. It is for their benefit. Every change that they have ever made, it was for their benefit. And I'm glad. I'll be honest, I'm really happy that they're getting rid of this stuff, because these people are really burdened. And I really hope that more and more the reformation will continue. I think some of the guys from the governing body had to be removed or died, and then the new ones came in, and they're pushing for new agenda. If not, if you saw the graph, the implosion is happening. Every company, in order to stay afloat, must see a minimum of 5% increase year after year. 3 is like, if you have 3% increase, you're staying afloat, because other companies are outgrowing you. And it's no different with Jehovah's Witnesses. They are now below the average of the natural growth. The natural growth of the world, it's about 1%, 1.1%. Now they are below it. You know what that means? That means there's they can't even hold on to their own kids. If they would hold on to their own kids, they would at least be at par with the rest of the world, but they're not. And they know it. And they see this. That's why they're desperately want to inflate the numbers to make them seem like, look, we're growing again. We are, of course, there was a little bit of growth after the COVID, because a lot of people didn't go to service during COVID. But things are changing, and I think they're making those drastic changes in order to stay afloat. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the next one. Thanks for all your comments. Actually, I'm not gonna quit yet. I'm just gonna take a look at the comments, see if you guys asked me any questions. Hi, Jack and David. I don't know what ICU is. Oh, ICU is somebody's name. I thought it was a comment. It's a joke. Yeah, it's a joke. Yeah, for sure. But believe me, it's not just a joke. It is definitely on purpose. It's definitely they're doing stuff that that serves them. What change do you think it's next? Oof. I didn't see those two coming. I would very much doubt that there would be another one. I could say that maybe they will mention something about women wearing pants, like maybe in service. I know, like, I live in Canada, and I know up north it's really, really cold. And a lot of women, what they would do, they would wear pants to service, and then they would wear a dress on top of it. And maybe they will change that. Maybe they'll say, hey, you know what, we're not going to be dogmatic about this, and we're going to allow women to also dress that way. But I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what's next. I'm hoping, my hope is obviously that they will start loosening their policy about the disfellowshipping and the blood issue. Those two things are gigantic. I don't think they will anytime soon. Obviously, those are my top on top. And of course, I would like to see them saying, we're going to report the child abuse. Those three are the biggest things that damage people's lives. Everything else, like wearing pants, in service, or wearing a beard, and all those things, they have very little impact on personal life, personal preference. But those three are major. So I don't know. Yeah, share your thoughts in the comments, and hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. How do you shut this off?